What's up, folks? I'm Dwayne, and this is Blackboard Gaming, where I teach you about all these great board games that are out there, waiting to be played by you and yours.
I'm a simple man, don't want a complication. Complication.
Hey, everybody. I'm here to give you guys a heads up on a small little card game that will soon be coming to Kickstarter. And I'm excited for this game because it is being published by one of my favorite board game publishers, Pencil First Games, who has created some of my favorite games in my collection. And the game that I'm talking about today is Hanafuda Koi-Koi. This game is designed by Eduardo Baraf with beautiful illustrations by Vincent Dutray. Let's go to the table to see how this game is played. Hanafuda are traditional Japanese playing cards that uses art rather than numbers and suits to make up the deck. The Hanafuda deck is made up of 12 suits, which represents the 12 months of the year, with each suit containing 4 cards. Koi-Koi is a classic 2-player game played with the Hanafuda deck where the players are trying to complete matching sets over a 12-game series. There are 3 steps to follow when setting up to play Koi-Koi. We first have to determine a dealer, then we have to deal out the cards, and then we have to check for a quick victory or a bad deal. To determine a dealer, we will first shuffle up these cards, and then each opponent is going to cut the deck, revealing 1 card. And the opponent that revealed the card from the earlier month will be chosen as the dealer, and the other person will be chosen as the player. Next, the dealer will shuffle up the cards again and then deal out 2 cards at a time. First, 2 cards to the player face down, then 2 cards face up in the common area, and then 2 cards face down to himself. And he will continue to do that until both the player and the dealer each have 8 cards, and there are 8 face-up cards in the common area, at which time we will take the rest of the cards and place them in a face-down deck next to the common area. And then before looking at the cards, the player has the option of swapping cards with the dealer if he wanted to. But he chooses not to. So then we would go into the 3rd step, which is check for a quick victory or bad deal. So each player will look at their hand, the dealer and the player will look at their hand, and if they have 4 cards from 1 single month or 2 cards from 4 different months, then that will be considered a quick victory, and they will score 6 points. And if both players have done that, then they both will score 6 points, and then we will go into the second game. So let's look at the dealer's hand. He has 3 cards right here. 1, 2, 3. If he had that 4th card, then he will get quick victory, but he doesn't have it. So then we would, once we check for quick victory, then we would check for bad deal. And the same thing applies for the common area. If there are 4 cards from 1 single month or 2 cards from 4 different months out into the common area, then that will be considered a bad deal, and then we would have to reset the game. So if you see here, these 2 cards come from the same month, but none of the other months match. So we don't have a bad deal. So now we can go ahead and start playing Koi-Koi. So in Koi-Koi, the object is you're racing to be the first opponent to score a set. Okay. Now there are 3 things that each opponent will do on their turn. So let's start with the dealer. The first thing you do is look in your hand, play a card from your hand out onto the table. So let's say the dealer decides to play this card. And then he will look in the common area, and if there is a card that matches the month, that goes with the same month as that card, then he will take this card and that matching card and place it into his play area. He's captured these cards. Okay? So now The second, and now if he had played this card and there was no matching card, then he would just add this to the common area. And the common area can hold any number of cards. The second thing he would do is reveal a card off the top of the deck and place it in the common area. And if there are any matching cards for that month, for that card, then he would take that card and that other card that matched and capture those. But if you remember, that's that fourth card that goes with them other ones that he had in his hand. So there's no match out on the table, so that just stays out there. Then he would check to see if he scored a set. So if he scored a set, then he has the option of either yelling out Shobu, which is game, and he would score that set. And that would end that game. Or he could say Koi-Koi, which means come on, which means he's trying to get an additional set and score those points. And if he scores enough points, like if he scores 7 or more points, then he would get double those points. He would score for both of those sets. The thing is, though, after Koi-Koi has been called, if the player scores a set first, then he wins and he automatically gets double the points. So, before we go on, let's take a look at the type of sets that can be scored in Koi-Koi. The first type of set you can score is the bright sets. And there is 5 bright cards in the game. If you get all 5 bright cards in a set, you can end the game at that moment and score 10 points. If you get 4 bright cards, excluding the November bright card, then this will score you 8 points. There's the rainy 4 bright. So you get, that would be any 3 bright cards plus the November bright card. And that will score you 7 points. Or you could get any 3 brights, excluding the November bright card, and that will score you 5 points. The next type of set you can score is the scroll set. And there are 10 scroll cards in the game. So if you complete a set that includes these 3 blue scroll cards as well as these 3 red scroll cards with writing, then that will score you 10 points. If you complete a set that includes only these 3 blue scroll cards or only these 3 red scroll cards with writing, then those will score you 5 points. And then if you score a set of any 5 scroll cards, which can include these red ones with no writing, then that set would score you 1 point. But unlike the bright set, you'll score more points if you had more scrolls in the set. So let's say I scored these 3 blue scroll cards as well as these 3 red with writing, and then I had 2 more of these scrolls here with the no writing. Then I would score 10 plus 1 plus 1. So for each extra scroll, I would score an extra point. The next type of set you can score is the seed set. And there are 9 seed cards in the game. And they usually have like some type of wildlife, like a bird, butterfly, stag. Except for these 2 down here, which one has like a sake bowl and this one has a bridge. So if you complete a set of any 5 seed cards, that set will score you 1 point. Or if you happen to complete the set that has the boar, the stag, and the butterfly in it, then that will score you 5 points. And just like the scroll sets, if you make a set and has extra seed cards in it, then you will score +1 for each added seed card. The last type of set you can score is the dreg set. And the last 24 cards in the game are dregs cards. And in order to score that set, you will have to collect 10 of these cards, any of them. And then that set will only score you 1 point though. But just like the seeds cards and the scroll cards, you will score an extra point for each extra card. So if you did a set of 12 dregs cards, then that will score you 3 points. So, like I said, the game will end when either opponent has completed a set and yelled out Shobu, or either opponent has completed a set after Koi-Koi was called. and then the game will immediately end, and the opponent that completed the set will score his points. Now, keep in mind that if you score 7 or more points in a single game, you get to double those points. So now, once those points have been recorded, then we will set up for the next game, and the winner of the last game will be the dealer, and play will continue. And play will continue until we have played 12 games, and at which time we would add up our final scores for each of those games, and then whoever has the most points will be declared the winner of Koi-Koi. Before we go into my thoughts, first I want to point out that this is a prototype copy. This is not the final production. Just letting you know that. So let's go into what I think. So there are 2 things that I appreciate most about this game that I want to touch on first. The first thing is the art style. The art in this game is gorgeous. But it's not just gorgeous, but it's just the fact that this is a traditional Japanese card game. And I think the art style portrays that. It really brings you in. As me being someone who loves Japanese culture and stuff like that, I really like the art in this game. The second thing that I appreciate most is the fact that the developers, everybody behind this game, they have taken the time to educate you about the history, how the Hanafuda deck came to be, And I really appreciate that, because I had fun learning this. Like, this is a great conversation piece when I show people this game. And I like the fact that, the different months, the pictures on the months, they go into detail of what these pictures mean, the flowers and all that. This is pretty much, I really do enjoy the gameplay of this game. It's really just set collection and push your luck. And I love set collection. The push your luck, I like the fact that, they refer to it as 12 games. It's really one game with 12 rounds. And I like the fact that, as the rounds progress, now you find yourself wanting to push your luck more, because you trying to maximize your points. You might get a set that only score you a little bit of points, but you might see, like, I could get this other set. The thing is, you're giving your opponent the opportunity to, like, if he scores a set and all he got to do is score a set, then he's going to get double points and you're going to get nothing. So now you're wondering, do I take the points and run, or do I push my luck? So I really like that. I think the biggest hump for this game, and I have to put it out there, is the fact that you have to, and I think it will solve itself with more plays, but you have to familiarize yourself with the cards. Because regular playing cards, your suits, the like diamonds and spades and stuff like that. In this card game, they only rely on the imagery on the cards. So with more plays, you start learning. Because at the beginning, when we played this game, we had to keep looking at that sheet, and that was becoming a little tedious. But with more plays, you familiarize yourself with those cards. You know which Brights cards, because I can honestly say that I know which ones are the Brights cards. I really enjoy this game. Now, in that same hump, if you're teaching this game to somebody, they're not familiar with the cards. So you have to kind of take your time, allow them to become more familiar with the cards. Because if both players that sit down to the table to play this game are totally familiar with the cards, this is a great game. It's relaxing. It's competitive without being too competitive. And I think this is a great game. And I think you guys should really check this game out. And that's how I feel about Hanafuda Koi-Koi. I'm excited for this game. Yeah. I can't wait till the final production copy comes out. So, if you like the contents of this video, feel free to hit the like button, subscribe. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And I'm Dwayne. This has been Blackboard Gaming, and I will see you next time.